A system of law that is rational instead of like any systems of law on earth is required to substantiate claims instead of just make them like a religion and just expect the public to believe those claims. Authority over another is a claim that cannot be substantiated, and so, any making authority claims over another are making false claims, and are dishonest. Claims of authority are not substantiated in the way that going traditions would offer as evidence. For example, a majority voting for a particular ruler does not substantiate their right to exercise any authority over those who do not consent to impart of their sovereignty. A stranger owns you 0%, so their vote should never hold more sway than 0% over your life. That is rational. The current systems are entirely irrational. People casting votes does not turn an irrational concept rational. The more collectivist a tradition or paradigm is, the more likely it is to be irrational. The reason that individualism is so vital is that it is so powerfully aligned with rational concepts and true principles. None are rightful rulers of another. The reason for all human causes, calamities, and atrocities is the neglect or disregard for true principles. If you study and question, you will find countless irrational presumptions in modern practices, and you can help us to have rational practices instead, which would remove the likelihood for problematic situations, isolated or widespread. Collectivism is the claim that the collective owns the individual. Individuals are owned by nobody in any way that can be rationally proven or proven from any other credible means, and so it is only a falsehood and a con scheme to propagate collectivism as an ideology. Collectivism uses cloudy reasoning and fallacious rhetoric to get the uncritical thinker of the masses to join in, usually with notions of better times ahead, greater fairness, equality for all, and so forth. Equality of outcomes is not rational whatsoever, because it claims the right to remove individual reward potential from individuals, which rewards are rationally theirs alone to own and benefit from. Collectives have no valid claim to the fruits of another individual's labor. Taxation is the taking by force of another individual's rightful earnings, and it is irratbordarianal and violates the rationally provable self-ownership of the individual. Nobody has the right to tax, and that includes people in need of otherwise wanting or needing programs or benefits of any kind, including militaries and police. It is rational to pay for things in a rationally valid way, which requires consent of the individual. Consent of the governed is a term that is fallacious and deceptive, because it implies consent of all who inhabit the jurisdictional region, and it groups all into unison of submission, which is entirely never the case. This term, consent of the governed, is a trick used on the uncritical to keep them complicit. It is not a rational rebuttal to questioning, but it is used to appease those with limited cognitive efforts allocated to questioning and scrutiny. Individualism is the only survivor of rational scrutiny. The scientist must prove her claim through evidence and reason. Any transaction requires proof of identity and ownership of accounts or titles. Any rational individuals expect to be able to verify all claims. Why is collective ownership of the individual getting so limited scrutiny by the small percentage of the population who are truly disciplined in rational scrutiny? In fact, many do create a great deal of works critical of many and even most aspects of our current systems of law. Enormous efforts go into this scrutiny by surprising numbers of both those known for rational contributions and those aspiring to also contribute to rational and beneficial outcomes. We are not alone when we criticize the going traditions. Inasmuch was careful, rational scrutiny brought us the modern technological renaissance. Our rational scrutiny can be applied to law as well, and we can end the age of elite oligarchs and favored groups at the cost to everyone else. We can end collective rule. We can end the delusion of authority over others. We can end the use of might to gratify superiority complexes. We can rid ourselves of arbitrary and irrational laws that hinder and damage lives. We can end injustices that come from the irrational application of law. We must scrutinize everything and require that the claims be substantiated completely and without fallacy. Consent of the governed is not a phrase that will appease rational scrutinizers.